Welcome everyone to another edition of Making an Impact. I'm your host, Simply Sensational Billy James here, wearing my TNA t-shirt. Wow, what an impact we had. We had a triple threat match to determine the number one contender to the Knockouts title. We had a street fight match. We also had Full Metal Mayhem, the final in the TNA Tag Team Series, Team 3D, the Hardys, and the Wolves. It was freaking awesome. Also, you had a confrontation between EC3 and Rockstar Spud. And we had a couple more matches. We'll get into all that and much, much more. Plus, we'll talk about Bound for Glory, taking place this Sunday. Actually, it's going to be taking place earlier because it's taking place in Tokyo, Japan. It will be airing in the U.S. on tape delay. And we'll talk more about that. The matches are set. Normally I would do a separate show for it, but unfortunately it doesn't make sense. So it's going to be a combo show, okay? So, without further delay, let's get on with things. We had a triple threat match to determine the number one contender for the Knockouts title to see who would get a title shot against the new TNA Knockouts champion, Havok, who defeated Gail Kim last week. Just so you know, Gail Kim is out with a shoulder injury. I don't know if that's legit or if it's storyline injury, but nevertheless, she is out with the shoulder injury. So, anyway. We had Angelina Love taking on Taryn Terrell, taking on Madison Rayne. And a couple of interesting things during this match is that Madison started showing some heelish tendencies, which was a little interesting considering that baby faces and heels a little low on one or the other. But anyway, it started out with Taryn and Madison working together briefly. They had a nice double suplex on Angelina. You had some interference from Velvet because Velvet did break up some double teams by holding Taryn's foot and also distracting Taryn so that Angelina could blindside her. Madison got taken out and spent a little time on the outside of the ring. I have to say that there was one point in the match that I was impressed with Taryn. She came off the top of the rope and hit a double cross body on Angelina and Madison, and hit a nice swinging net breaker on Angelina. And it looked like Taryn was going to get the win and become the number one contender. And that's where something interesting happened that I wasn't expecting. Madison comes up behind and rolls Taryn up, holds her tights, or her shorts, tights, whatever you want to call them, and gets the 1, 2, 3, and becomes the new number one contender to the TNA Knockouts title. That was a surprise. I didn't see that coming. I thought that Taryn would win it. 2, she showed more heelish tendencies. That was a little surprise. Okay, after the match, Havok comes out. And of course, Angelina and Velvet are out of the ring. Don't want to have anything to do with her. So it's Taryn and Madison in the ring. Madison's about to shit her panties. And Taryn goes after Havok, and who gets chokeslammed by Havok and demolished, while Madison bails, heads up the ramp with like, oh shit, what have I got myself into look on her face. So I expect to see a match between Havok and Madison Rayne somewhere in the next couple of weeks. Just so you know, I'll talk about this a little later, but Havok will be defending the TNA Knockouts title against Velvet Sky at Bound for Glory. Why Velvet Sky? Your guess is as good as mine, but that's what they're going to do. So anyway, it was not a bad match. I wouldn't say it's the best women's match I've ever seen. And, it's probably okay. It's the best way to describe it. So if you want to check it out, go ahead. But, you really didn't miss much. Just know that Madison Rayne is the new #1 contender to the Knockouts title. Okay, we had the Cowboy, James Storm, and the Great Sonata tag teaming, taking on the team of Loki and Tigra Uno. Tigra Uno. I hope I pronounced that right. I'm bad with pronunciation, so forgive me. Anyway, I thought that Storm and Sonata worked pretty well together. You had great ring flow. They worked very well together. Loki and Uno worked pretty well together. Started out, just a Texas chain wrestling between Sonata and Loki, who started off the match. At one point, Uno was in the ring and against Sonata, and the referee was distracted. And while the referee was distracted, Manic was able to slide in the ring and had a net breaker on Uno, putting him in his tracks as he was getting momentum against Sonata. Cowboy James Storm came in and he tried to run roughshot, and he did for a while. He went for he got caught by Loki, who got him down the mat and then hit the double stomp in the abdomens. Storm tried to come back, and he had Loki up in the eye of the storm, but Loki was able to tag Uno, and Uno came in. They went back and forth, but Uno got caught while the referee was distracted after Loki got thrown to the outside of the ring with the green mist from Sonata while the referee was distracted. And that allowed James Storm to get the 1-2-3. Sonata and Storm are your winners. Just interested enough, in case you didn't know, Storm and Sonata will be on the card at Bound for Glory as they take on the tag team of the Great Muta and Tajiri. Now, from what I understand, that match will be the main event for Bound for Glory from the Japanese point of view. It's not necessarily going to be the main event in the U.S. area of Bound for Glory. Remember, this is going to be on tape delay. Mike Tenay and Taz will not be at Bound for Glory at the physical location. They will go into Nashville once the feed has arrived. They will watch it, and they will do the commentary watching it. They will not physically be there. So, question is, will Christy Hemme be doing the ring announcing, or we have someone else? I look for it to be Jeremy Borash doing everything, but that's just my thoughts, because I do know Jeremy Borash is over there. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get on. Another good. It was a good match, but it's one of those. If you missed it, it's not the end of the world. But it's nice story development. James Storm, you have to give James Storm credit. He kind of reminds me of Arn Anderson. He's a guy that you can put him with just about anybody, and he have great chemistry and work with them, and they can, you can believe them being tag team champions because Storm is a tag team specialist, sort of like in the way of Arn Anderson. Arn Anderson went on to win championships with 5 different tag team partners. Ole Anderson, the Minnesota Wrecking Crew, of course, is probably one of his more famous partners, Tully Blanchard. They held the NWA tag team titles and the WWF tag team titles together. He also held the WCW tag team titles along with the likes of Larry Zbyszko and Paul Roma. So those are just a few that he's held the tag team titles with. And that's quite impressive to hold. Also, Bobby Eaton. He and Bobby Eaton held the tag team titles. So, there's food for thought, Storm, former tag team champion with Chris Harris, America's Most Wanted. Multi-time tag team champion with his partner, Bobby Roode, Beer Money. And most recently, Gunner. So, just food for thought there. Food for thought. Anyway, like I said, good match. If you missed it, not a big deal, but it's a lot of good story development with Storm and his new Revolution. So, we had Samuel Shaw taking on Bram in a grudge match that was pretty much a street fight hardcore match, and damn did they take it to each other. Bram tried to come down to the ring and take Shaw out with the turnbuckle wrench, but Shaw caught him with the garbage can lid and went to town on him. It was hardcore from there. Kendo stick, garbage can, steel chairs. They just did everything. They were in and out of the ring. Shaw was like dominating Bram. I mean, multiple chair shots. It was brutal. It was brutal. They just, matter of fact, at one point, Shaw laid out chairs. I mean, just like a quilt of chairs. And Bram tries to come back and tries to suplex Shaw into these chairs, but Shaw turns it around and makes it into a power bomb, and he just power bombs him into all these chairs. It was like, oh my gosh. Anyway, Bram is able to come back, and he's able to shove Shaw into the ring post. Shaw hits his shoulder, and then he nails him with a chair, and then is able to pin him. And it was like a rough match. I mean, brutal. I give Shaw credit. I didn't think he had it in him, to be quite honest with you. But Bram has been dominant in these hardcore type matches. He's went several times with Abyss. I mean, a Monsters Ball match, a Stairway to Janice match, multiple type of hardcore matches, and Bram has been dominating, and it's pretty damn good. Shaw, I was impressed. He really took the hardcore stuff and showed that he can take it. That's good. Now after the match, Shaw's laid out in the ring, and who comes down? Not Gunner. Brittany! Yes, Brittany comes down and she's all concerned. She's holding his head and petting his hair. Where are they going with this? I don't know, but hey, at least it's giving her something to do, and it's not totally stupid. I mean, I've seen worse, so. But anyway, another good match. Now, this one I would kind of recommend checking out. I thought it was a pretty good match. So, why don't you check it out? I think you'll like it. Earlier in the start of the show, Bobby Roode called out Bobby Lashley saying, I want a title match, and reiterating what he was asking for last week. MVP and Kenny King comes down and says, didn't you hear what we told you? We told you no. And Bobby Roode says, I'm not talking to you. I want to talk to Lashley. And MVP sets up a little stipulation saying, all right, you face me and King tonight, and if you can beat both of us, pin or make us submit, you'll get your title shot against Lashley. But if you don't, you're not ever getting a title shot against Lashley again. Which, with some reluctance, Roode accepts. So, we have this match, and it's like, starts off with some double team moves. But at first, before the bell rings, MVP tries to get Roode to quit and just go on to the back, which Roode refuses. He goes for King, starts punching him, but MVP jumps in and attacks, and they start working on Roode. Roode was able to turn things around when he ducked a blow from King that nailed MVP. Roode is then able to get King out of the ring and get some little offense in until MVP hits a big boot followed by a fisherman suplex. He sets Roode up for the drive-by, but Roode ducks it and then rolls up MVP. 1, 2, 3. MVP's out. He's eliminated. It now comes down to King. course, King jumps right in. He goes to work on Roode, not letting up. Roode fights back with some punches, tries to slam King to the mat, but King gets away and nails him again. Then he tries for an attack from the corner, but Roode counters with a Roode bomb. At that point, it looked like Roode was going to pin King, but unfortunately, Lashley comes down, attacks Roode, causing a disqualification. So, Roode wins the match. However, sorry about the position, I'm trying to get comfortable. However, Roode did not make King submit or pin him. So, according to stipulations, he doesn't get a title shot. So, in the back, MVP, King, and Lashley are celebrating when Kurt Angle comes in demanding to know what the hell they think they're doing, and reminds MVP that he's not in charge of TNA anymore and he doesn't make matches, and that Roode will get another chance to earn a title shot against Lashley, as next week he will compete in a match to determine the new #1 contender to the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. I thought that was good explanation. One is setting up so that Roode stays in the title picture, but also establishes Angle's authority, and also establishes, hey, you know, yeah, the stipulation was made, but he didn't have the right to make it. So I thought that was well done on TNA's part. So anyway, check this match out. Not a bad match to watch, and I think you'll like it. If you're a Roode fan, watch it. I mean, I don't know what more to say. It was good. Storyline was good, and I thought the match itself was good. Okay. Ethan Carter III, EC3, came down the ring talking about how he's never been pinned and never made to submit. And he talks about after victory, after victory, after victory, and keeps on and on and on and on. But basically calls Rockstar Spud out. And Spud, you know, tries to make amends with him, tells him, I know you, we're friends, I know you, and starts talking about what he likes and what he doesn't like. And Ethan says he's impressed, but Dixie Carter still went through a table, and it was his fault because Spud failed him. He calls Spud a loser, and Spud disagrees with him, and keeps calling him a loser, loser, loser. Slaps him in the face about 3 or 4 times, and then finally Spud slaps EC3. He screams at for EC3 to hit him, but EC3 just tells him and says, you know what, I'm impressed, but guess what, you're fired. So it looks like they're setting up a feud between Rockstar Spud and EC3. Okay, EC3, Ethan Carter III, probably one of the best, you know, young talents that they have. He came from WWE. Yes, he did. But I don't consider him a WWE guy. I see him as a guy that WWE dropped the ball on. TNA picked him up, gave him a chance, gave him the ball, told him to run with this character, and he did it. So I think having him feud with Spud is beneath EC3. And I don't see this feud benefiting EC3. So I'm sorry, I'm just not a Rockstar Spud fan. And you know what? As the great Huey Lewis once said, who cares? Does anybody give a shit? I sure don't. And that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. We had it. The final match in the TNA Tag Team Series. Team 3D versus the Hardys versus the Wolves in full Metal Mayhem. And if you missed this match, what the fuck were you doing? Because this match was freaking awesome! I'm calling it right now. This is probably if not the top contender, the match of the year for TNA. I mean, oh my God, so many spots. And I'm trying to remember all these off the top of my head because this was so damn good. There was one where the Wolves planted with I believe it was like a suplex type move. They sent Matt Hardy into 2 chairs, and I mean, he bent that chair because he hit it head first, and it was brutal. At one point in the match, Bully Ray power bomb Davey Richards into guardrails that were set up like a bridge. I mean, he dented them. It was brutal. I mean, it was like totally brutal. At one point, there was a table set up outside that I believe that Jeff Hardy had Devon sitting on the table, and he went for the Swanton Bomb, missed, and went through let me rephrase it. Devon got out of the way, and Jeff went through the table. I mean, it was brutal. I mean, there was one where Devon got tossed over and went through a table. And I mean, it was so bad you could see his legs shaking. I mean, that was like, he's sitting there like an epileptic, or like he just got tased. And it was like, oh my God. You know, it was a brutal match. I mean, they pulled out all the stops for this match. I don't know how many times I thought that the Hardys were going to win the tag team titles, and then there was points that it looked like Team 3D were going to win the tag team titles. I mean, this was just brutal. There was a nice Tower of Doom that involved, you know, one member of each team. It was just, I mean, it was like, holy shit, the fans were cheating. This is awesome. TNA. It was just, oh my God, it was freaking awesome. And I'm just giving you highlights, and let me see if I can give you a little more, because this match was just so awesome that, you know, I can't even describe it, the words, how great this is. To me, I would have to say this was the best match. Like I said, it's the match of the night for sure, but it is a top contender for match of the year, TNA, or the match. You know, we're getting close to, we're in October now, and we got only November and December to go, and we know there's no matches in December, so between now and the end of November, that's it. And whatever you got, that's going to be, that's it. So, one of the things they mentioned is, during this match, they mentioned Davey Richards' leg injury, you know, and they also mentioned that Devon had a groin injury. So, I mean, there was some interesting things going on. Toward the end of the match, Jeff, they had a huge ladder in there, and Matt was almost at the top, and he was swinging there getting the titles, and the Wolves got back into the ring, and they were able not only to take Bully out, but they finally were able to take Matt, and they dumped him off the ladder onto Bully, putting them both through tables on the outside of the ring. And at that point, the Wolves had it. They went for the titles, and they grabbed them, and they stayed the TNA Tag Team Champions. I think the Wolves proved that they belong as an elite tag team, and that's a good thing for them. And Team 3D and the Hardys showed they still got it. So, great match. It was a great way to cap off this tag team series. And if you missed this one, you need to go and watch it. Bottom line, you get online, you watch this match, because it's that freaking good. It went about 30 minutes long, and that's with commercials. So, you figure editing and everything, it's a possibility this match went like 45 minutes. They beat the living hell out of each other. It was, I mean, they beat each other up. So, with that said, you gotta watch this match for sure. Okay? Do it. Okay, bottom line, superstars of the night, and you notice I said superstars, Team 3D, the Hardys, and the Wolves. Bottom line, they deserve it. Full Metal Mayhem. Whoa! It was one hell of a match. You gotta watch it. And you know you just heard me say that, but I just can't stop talking about it. It was just that damn good. Decent tag team match between James Storm and Sonata taking on Low-Key and Tigret Uno. Pretty damn good grudge match between Samuel Shaw and Bram. Good match between with Bobby Roode taking on MVP and Kenny King in a handicap match. And of course, you had the triple threat knockouts, triple threat knockouts match to determine who's going to face Havok. All in all, good night. I thought they needed something to leave on a bang, and Full Metal Mayhem was the way to go. So that was awesome for him. I mean, I don't know what much more to say. Next week we're going to have a big match to determine the #1 contender for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship and see who goes on to face Bobby Lashley for the title. Okay, let's talk Bound for Glory real quick. Okay, we know it's taking place in Tokyo, Japan. It's in cooperation with Wrestle One promotion there in Japan. I've voiced this so many times, I'm just going to keep it brief, but I have said that TNA, if they wanted to do an overseas pay-per-view, they should have done it in the UK. I think it's a big mistake doing it overseas, especially in Tokyo, and nobody cares about it. There's not enough fan interest. If I get to see it on, free or something like that, hey, that's great. If I don't get to see it, no big deal. What if I got invested in this? Nothing. But anyway, let's talk about some of the matches. Samoa Joe will defend the X Division title against Low-Key and Kaz Heishu, I believe is how it's pronounced. He's with Wrestle One in a triple threat match for the TNA X Division Championship. There's another match that's just a tag team match, and I'm not even going to pretend to pronounce the guys' names, but they're both Japanese. They're all 4 Japanese wrestlers. That's a tag match. So I go with Samoa Joe to retain the X Division title. Havok defends the TNA Knockouts title against Velvet Sky. Havok wins. She retains the title. Manic is taking on a Mingraf Taiko. I could say Manic's going to win. Kazma Sakaki, or it's SAKMOTM Sakamoto. Kazma Sakamoto. I hope I pronounced that right. I'm trying to read. Versus MVP. I'm going to go Sakamoto. T3D takes on Abyss and Tommy Dreamer. No brainer. Team 3D. Ethan Carter III takes on Raito Hana. EC3, because he's undefeated. They want to keep him that way. And what's supposed to be the main event match, the Great Muta and Tajiri taking on the Cowboy James Storm and the Great Sonata. This one, I don't think it's a no-brainer. The Great Muta and Tajiri wins. So, that's what I'm calling. Anyway, thanks guys. Appreciate it. Don't forget to check out the Wrestling Debate. It's on the blogtalkradio.com under the Nerdport Network with myself and my good buddy John Mayer. We have a great time. We had 5 people on last week and we were just chatting it up, so you guys got to check it out. Also, if you like independent wrestling, especially up in the New Jersey area, Pro Wrestling Syndicate, I'm telling you, you got to check out John's independent point of view. He's got a lot to say about independent wrestling. He gets great interviews with local independent wrestlers. It's a great show to check out, and I'm telling you, you won't regret checking out if you love independent wrestling. Well, that's it for this week's edition of Making an Impact. I've been your host, Simply Sensational Billy James. Don't forget to join me back next week, and y'all take care.